Another example is a site that's called redtractor.co.uk, and on that one it tracks and verifies packaged foods that you buy in a shop, and it'll just show you from the place where it's produced all the way to the point where it got to the shelf. And so it's that type of traceability that's really starting to pull through here at home. A couple examples, we're seeing the brands like Crown Lager and our two major supermarkets are increasingly highlighting the relationship that they have with individual producers and demanding that they see that visibility and have that traceability at all points of production and delivery. And the National Farmers Federation, along with Meat and Livestock Australia, actively driving a national traceability approach through their True Aussie branding. So this is something that is really maybe turning from a fad to really a fundamental offering that we can do as suppliers. We're seeing it very clearly in one of the highly defined markets, and that's infant formula. And of course, you can understand why it would matter when you consider who the customers are. But this has really gone to a much higher level than we've had it before. And it's not just on the traceability aspect, it's about the assurance of quality and continuing to try to improve quality. And that's used as much as a competitive advantage and as a marketing edge. If you go into Chinese marketplaces and you look at all the cans that are on the shelf selling product, they'll talk about origin specificity. They'll go through and talk about what is the nutrition profile, all trying to get an edge out here that's showing that it can help with cognitive development, with bone and teeth structure. And so there's this real push to bring this through. And the thing that was really the lightning rod on this, if you think back in 2008, if you remember the melamine scare that happened, you've gone from basically very low control to the most stringent standards in the world now for infant formula. More importantly, you have the most discriminating customer in China because what happened as well. And so they literally are paying double the price for a lot of product that is made in Australia or made in New Zealand, made in Ireland or made in Switzerland because they want that assurance of quality that goes into it. And so it's been very important for us to address that. I don't know if you know this, but in infant formula, roughly 25% of the volume is actually in oils. And that traditional profile, a lot of it has been in the tropical oils. It's been palm oil, it's been coconut oil, and then the rest of it has been mainly soybean, sunflower, but there is some canola in it. And quite honestly, there's a fair amount of soybean oil because of the profile of the manufacturers. The international manufacturers were primarily U.S. brands, so that was a traditional profile. But this is a great place where we're starting to be able to make the switch and substitute in Australian canola oil and actually doing it in plants in Australia as well as New Zealand. So again, it's a nice place where we're able to bring in the quality, the traceability, identity preserving it, and improving the quality as we go forward. So this is a very important market for us. Just a couple other examples I'd give you that are on our grain side. When we go to the barley side of the marketplace, we actually have some Asian beer companies and Shoshu brewers that literally want to come out, they want to meet with our growers, they want to walk the paddock, they want to see and trace that product all the way through. And again, that's a value that we can do inside of Australia that garners us a premium for our products. So we're not just trying to fight it just strictly by price, but really show that we can do. And this has been a big growth area for GrainCorp and an area that, quite honestly, we keep putting resources into. But it goes back to, again, about this customer segmentation and what we can really do with our customer and trying to highly define what it is they want. And two big things that we see inside of the beer market in the United States in particular is not just the craft beer business is growing, but the reasons behind the craft beer growth. And again, this is a marketplace that this year alone is growing over 15%. It's been growing at double digit now for the past 5 years. I can tell you our guys are convinced this is no longer a fad. This is a fundamental change and a whole new customer segment. This last year alone, 11% of the beer consumption in the U.S. was craft. As important, 20% of the dollars was craft. So what it tells you is you've got customers that are saying, you know what, I like my beer, but I like it the way I want it, and I want it to be different, and I want it to be customized, and I want it to be localized, and so it's really helping grow the craft beer business. But what that does is create a whole different distribution system in place. It's now all of a sudden, it's not about producing malt. It's about being able to distribute down to very local levels, providing technical expertise, providing other products than just malt, and so malt all of a sudden becomes kind of the third or fourth issue. But for us, it's a big issue because we're a malt company, so we're busy trying to supply the other sides that go in with that. It's actually allowed us to have the opportunity to expand capacity. We're adding 120% capacity to our Pocatello, Idaho plant as an example, because we're deficit capacity on the malt side for our specialty business, for the craft business, and this is at a time where globally beer consumption is going down and utilization of capacity of malt facilities are going down. So you can just see the power of being able to segment your customer base and really try to satisfy it on a customized base. We think this expansion, we think the craft side is actually going to take off in other areas, and so we do think it's much more global. And I know we got good craft beers down here in Australia, and we're supplying to them. But the other areas we see going on is Mexico is growing dramatically. Brazil is taking off. And believe it or not, Germany and UK actually are starting to develop very good craft businesses over there and taking across some of these pale ales that's really going into the traditional pilsners that they're used to. And so it's just interesting, just the big changes that is really happening out here. From a grain aspect, and I've talked a little bit about this before, but our focus really is about trying to stay relevant with our customers. And again, as our customers overseas, our international customers continue to consolidate, their needs become more global at the same time. And we've really seen a phenomenon that has reduced the natural advantage that we have with Australia's geographic location being close to the big Asian markets. We have had, and all of you know this, crude oil prices dropped dramatically over the past 18 months. We continue to see more capacity ocean freight coming to the marketplace, that we're getting competition from places like the Black Sea that we literally haven't experienced at the level that it's at. I'll just give you an idea of just this fundamental change. The way the ocean freight rates have narrowed, it's like taking the Black Sea and moving it 1,500 kilometers closer to China. That's the effect it's had. So that spread and that advantage we had before, that's how much it's actually narrowed and come in. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think crude oil prices are going to stay at the levels that they're at, but I will tell you there's fundamental changes going on that I just think we're going to have to find other things to compete with our competitors around the world. That's not just based on our proximity. It's going to have to be based on other things, and that's why we keep talking about this aspect of customizing your product, the traceability and sustainability. Is we think in Australia we can do that as good as anybody around the world. I'm talking a lot about the customers on the end of the chain. I want to come back and just talk about our customers on the front end of the chain, because quite honestly, our growers in Australia are phenomenally important to us. In fact, for GrainCorp, if we didn't have that group of customers, we wouldn't exist. And so it's been very important for us to keep looking at ways that we can help the growers stay competitive in the marketplace. And so I've talked about the investments we're making in the supply chain. All of that is very important. But some of the other things that we're really trying to work on, and we've come out this year, and one of them is really trying to help the grower here finance a lot of their needs that go on during harvest. And so we've come out with a 5-day payment term. So we're speeding up the payment that we are giving to our growers. We've gotten really good feedback from our growers telling us they thought this would be important to do. And one of the issues they're having is, and quite honestly, this is just a little black eye on the grain industry in Australia, but we've had some defaults out here, and a lot of it has to do with this issue about taking 30 days to pay. And so what we're trying to do is just speed this up so the farmer gets his money faster, has less concern about what they have out there for accounts receivables, and so it just helps their cash flow. The other component that we call Croptimizer, it's really trying to work through where we've got a grower, he's out there harvesting, he's delivering, and he brings in a certain quality, and the next load just misses that cutoff on a grade specification. We're going back in on the wheat side and helping to kind of blend the two, almost like a paper blend, so the farmer has to be less concerned about making sure he's hitting every single truckload that he's bringing in, meets the minimum spec, and spend more time trying to get his harvest off and not feel like he's not being rewarded for handling that speed of that and for what his overall crop is. And so again, this is a big area for us, trying to find the way that we can push some value back to the grower. And it's not just about handing him value, it's about making sure we're doing things so he can run his operations more efficiently. So again, it's that fast payment back, it's that blending of different loads and quality that really makes a difference for him. I just want to finish up and just kind of come back and highlight some of the things that I've talked about today. And I know we covered a lot of ground, and there's a lot of trends that I didn't talk about that are happening and what's going on. But again, there's a great role for Australia grain industry to play in the global marketplaces, and we really do understand our responsibility as being one of those major players that we have to find ways to really help our whole industry and help our growers be competitive as we go forward. But Australia really does have an opportunity in front of it. We can be that quality provider in the marketplace. I can just tell you, when we talk about what we can do to expand production, we can do that so far. But here's the news that all of you know, and that is we're not the lowest cost producer. We don't have ways to double our production, so we can't develop the scale to be Asia's food bowl. What we can do, though, is develop the capabilities to become the premier supplier to Asia. And we can do that through quality. We can do it by segmenting off again and customizing what our customers want. And I'll just tell you, if we're sitting here doing 25% of the needs, I know for our customers over in an international market, they may be buying from South America, they may be buying from the Black Sea, but they don't get the same quality control, they're not getting consistent shipments, and when they come to do business with us, we're typically trying to solve a problem they've had with another supplier at that point, where we're bringing in better quality, we're bringing in more consistent quality, and as important, we're handling a logistical problem that they've got where they're running out of supply or they've got the wrong type of quality in place, and so they have to come and look to Australia to be able to supply that. And that's where we really want to come after and really make sure that we're providing that role so that we're creating value inside of Australia. So we're committed to continuing our role. We're committing to adding to the efficiencies that we can. But again, I think Australia's got a premier place to play in agribusiness globally, and I think we can be a major part of that. So thank you very much.